To really understand the story, or maybe how it happened, you need to know a few things first. I live in Belgium, and at the time of the events, 2018, I lived at home with my parents, siblings, older brother and sister, and my sweet dog. Looking back now, maybe my dog is a bit too sweet. Also important to note is that my family is all over the place. Everybody is always busy doing something. Everyone has a very different rhythm, and some days we live next to each other instead of with each other. So that's why at the time I didn't really know who was home and who wasn't. So in 2018, on a school night, I woke up to some noises in my room. I was confused and looked at my phone. It was around 3 a.m. You know that feeling when you wake up very abruptly and don't know if you're dreaming or awake? That was kind of how I felt. There's a street light right at my window, so even though the curtains were closed, I could still make out some silhouettes and figures. As I had just woken up and wasn't really thinking, I thought the silhouette I saw in my room was my older brother. I was sleep drunk, as you could call it, and started asking him what he was doing. But he didn't really react. I saw him walking towards my jewelry and I asked him again, what was he doing? Again, my brother didn't respond. I was still laying in bed and I began to feel angry because I had school the next day and had to get up early. And as you do with irritating siblings, I started to curse him out. Jope, get the F out, I have school tomorrow. Jope is the name of my brother, by the way. This time he looked at me, but again didn't say anything. He started to walk toward my handbag and started looking in it and taking things out. At this point, I was just angry at my brother and finally got out of bed. Mind you, the lights are still off. I walked towards him and asked him again, what the F are you doing? Get out! And I physically started pushing him slightly towards the door. Then he spoke. Where's the money? Where's the money? And like this very strange, almost fake accent. And seriously, I started laughing it off. I still thought it was my brother. Okay, I don't know if you're drunk or just being an a-hole, but get out. By this time, we were almost at the door. I was still pushing him out. He left and I closed the door. Finally, I thought as I went back to bed, but I started feeling unsettled. I got nervous and scared and started thinking it over. Didn't I smell cigarettes? Jope doesn't smoke. Why would he act so strange? So, just to be sure, I texted my brother, "Where are you?" His answer made my heart sink to my knees. "I just left the gym, home in a minute." I immediately called him and frantically explained there was just someone in my room. I started crying as I was panicking and asked him what to do. He said to call the police and stay in my room. As the gym was really close to our home, my brother came home like literally a minute or two later. I was still upstairs on the phone with the police while I heard my brother yell a whole lot of curse words and "get out." At that point, I was in the upstairs hallway because my sister woke up and was standing there too. My father fell asleep downstairs on the couch, so when he heard my brother scream, he immediately woke up and knew something was wrong. He went to the downstairs hallway and saw my brother chasing the intruder. At this point, they were already at the front door. My brother managed to take a backpack from the intruder, but sadly he got away. My brother did get a good look at him though. So the police came and I was actually in shock. All this time my mother was asleep because she's on strong sleep meds. She woke up during the chase when my sister and I were standing in the hallway. I was crying and she came up to us. I frantically told her what had happened, and she said, "Ah, little one, that was a very bad dream." That's one of the things we still laugh about today. While we were talking to the police, we had to describe the person. I told them exactly what had happened and how he looked. Due to the streetlight, I could see the clothes he was wearing. He had a hood on, so I didn't see his face, and when I was close, he always turned his back towards me. So I'm telling the police lady about his black pants and green hoodie. Then she abruptly stopped me. Green? Your brother said light gray. That's the second time my heart dropped to my knees. There were 2 guys, not one. Both my brother and I were 100% sure about what we saw, so there had to have been 2 guys. They took a few iPads, phones, and wallets, but luckily my brother took the backpack where there was a lot more valuable things that they didn't get away with. But the burglars were kinda stupid because we still had the Find My on all our Apple devices and they were still running. A day later, when we saw the location, my brother jumped in his car with my father while on the phone with the police. Really, my brother is a badass. Going to the gym at night, he's in the military, chasing intruders through the house. I wouldn't F with them. They waited for the police and they went in the house where the location of our devices were and found one guy. He was crying and covered in his own piss and puke. They arrested him and he confessed. He said he was high on drugs and it was the first time he ever did something like that. He was very panicky and crying the whole time. My brother recognized him as the intruder he chased, so that meant the guy who was in my room was still out there. The guy snitched on the other guy, but he was nowhere to be found. We all kinda got on with our lives, but I was really scared. I slept with my lights on for more than a year, and every time I would be awake past 3 a.m., I couldn't go to sleep anymore. The intruder they caught went to jail for a year. He was a first-time offender, and is now in a rehab program. He has sent us a letter or 2 with our consent, and we kinda feel bad for him. He was traumatized too. But half a year ago, we heard the second man was taken into custody. I was finally over it. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the beginning, but of course, I still got scared sometimes. But now they finally caught the man that was in my room. What we found out was unsettling to say the least. While the dude that pissed himself didn't have a record before this happened, the dude who was in my room was a very experienced criminal. He had multiple possession charges, theft, drunk driving, and worst of all, assault and attempted homicide. The man I talked to, cursed out and pushed out of my room at 3 a.m., was dangerous, and I'm very happy to be alive.
Sorry for the long story, but I can't figure out this person's motive. One night, I was in bed with my boyfriend. It was about 1:30 a.m. I got a text from a random number saying, "Is this you? Sorry for messaging late and out of the blue like this, but I don't think your boyfriend is being honest with me, and I need to talk to you." We exchanged a few texts and basically they're accusing my boyfriend of cheating on both of us. Obviously, I was annoyed. But bear in mind, it was June 2020, bang in the middle of the coronavirus lockdown in the UK. We'd spent every day together since March. He denied it all and insisted he didn't know who this person was. The same number starts texting him, angry texts calling him a lying rat, etc. Not looking good for my boyfriend. But this is where it gets weird. This person gives no specifics. They won't tell me their name, what my BF has done, only that he was a liar and that I was an idiot for believing him. I'd ask, but they would just reply vague, angry texts. Their grammar and spelling was good, but they'd use slang words for our local area. We assumed maybe it was some kid who found our numbers off Facebook and were having a laugh, so tried ignoring it. Then, nothing. Until my BF gets a text the following afternoon asking him to meet them at a local social club for some company. Me and my friend got straight in the car and went down there. No one was there, and the club was closed because of COVID. But we couldn't help feel like we were being watched. It was really weird. A few days go by, and the same number starts texting me again. This time, the text language is all weird, like spelling mistakes and saying, "Why you too?" instead of "you too." That kind of thing. It felt like it was a different person texting me. They seem a lot angrier with me now, cause I didn't believe them straight away. Then they text, "You're so dull. I see him leaving your house earlier, LMAO." Cocky, I said something like funny, that where's my house then? And they reply with my street name. They also knew things about us like the fact he was in the army, but I guess you can figure that out from his social media photos. I called them loads, but it would just ring twice and cut off. Tried searching the number on WhatsApp and a few social media sites. Nothing. Only on Instagram the number would come up with a location of a film company in Raalte, Netherlands. When I'd Google the number, its provider was in Tismi. I've never heard of it, but looks like it might just be a fake number. They've never asked for any money or anything like that either. Don't get why someone would go through that much effort just to wind us up. Last text I had was, "Okay, you will see eventually, LMAO. Creepy. Any advice, please?"